The skies are blue and there's not a cloud in sight. It's a great morning here, springtime in Compiègne, 80 kilometers or 50 miles north of Paris. Hello again everybody, I'm Phil Liggett. Yes, of course, it's the morning of Paris Roubaix. Now, can you believe that World Cycling Productions have brought you this classic now since 1990? And as we go into our 10th anniversary event, we thought you might like to look back at some of the great finishes over the years. Let's start with 1990, and you won't see a battle better than this, the one between Eddie Planckaert of Belgium and Steve Bauer of Canada.
Speed of Bauer here now as he pounds that heavy gear over the cobbles. Very relaxed position for Eddie Planckaert too. Just sits there nicely on the top of the handlebars. Almost looks like he's on a Sunday run. Far more urgency in Steve Bauer on the far side. Well, I wonder what Eddie Planckaert is thinking now. He knows that if this was a normal race, he has the sprint to win. But after he's been in the lead for so long, he can't possibly know that anymore. Van Hooijdonk, who appeared to be in trouble, is now looking likely to become one of the survivors here, because these two are going clear of the rest of the race. I didn't see Guyon at all then. Bauer is first around the corner, followed by Planckaert. Van Hooijdonk is just behind them. And I think this break of 6 is split up once more. This is a nasty little stretch of cobbles, this one. It has a slight incline on it as well. And as soon as they get off the cobbles, there's a slight rise. You can just possibly see the incline here. Just makes the legs hurt that little bit more. Van Hooijdonk has read that this race is splitting. He's coming across very quickly indeed. It's all under the impetus, really, of Steve Bauer. Planckaert has measured his effort alongside him. And it seems that, now there's the kite. That was the kite hanging off the banner. 1 kilometre to go to the stadium. 1.5 laps to the stadium to come. 3 riders in contention. These 3 riders, the same 3 riders who have been in the front now for the best part of 60 kilometres. Well, 85 kilometres in the case of Planckaert, and considerably less for the other 2 because they came across. About 40 kilometres for Bauer and Van Hooijdonk. Well, Guyon is still living a hope he can snatch this right on the line, and all of France's as well, because they've only had 2 wins since 1956. Lewis and Bobet won in 56. He was there to see Bernard Hinault win in 1981, and soon after that, sadly, Lewis and Bobet passed away. And now, if Guyon can just latch on, he might produce the result. That's how he won the silver medal in the World Championships back in 1988. One of those men involved then is involved now, Steve Bauer. This is the approach to the stadium. We'll turn right shortly into the velodrome. And here we go. Planckaert is the first in. No, I beg your pardon. Plankaert's the second in. Bauer is first in. The brakes are going on. It looks as though they want Planckaert in the front. They're slowing right down, and this is going to let Guyon on, because I believe Guyon has been joined by Wampers out of sight of our camera. So we've got 2 riders in a couple of seconds. That's all, a couple of seconds off our camera. And they're coming on very quickly indeed. Into the stadium, Steve Bauer brings Eddie Planckaert, and a big cheer goes up too, just behind Eddie Planckaert. Hedwig van Hooijdonk, again, no Frenchman present at the moment as they come onto the track now, but already in the stadium just behind them we have Vampers, and there they are, right down on the inside. They're going to go straight through. This will be a stunning blow to Eddie Planckaert. He didn't expect to see anybody. Now he's seeing his teammate and the winner a year ago, Jean-Marie Wampers, leading immediately. Planckaert takes his wheel, so Wampers is looking to lead out Planckaert for the sprint. The bell and 1 lap to go. 5 riders fighting out now. The finish of Paris Roubaix. Wampers looks content, even as last year's winner here, to help Eddie Planckaert take the sprint. Bauer is in the back of the group, but Van Hooijdonk goes for a long one. He's the least likely to win the sprint. Bauer gets his wheel, a good piece of riding by Steve Bauer. Planckaert tries to come on him too. But look at this ride now by Van Hooijdonk, goes high, opens the door to Steve Bauer. Bauer comes on the inside, and it looks as though Steve Bauer's going to get that first-class victory on the line. They are almost together, and you know Eddie Planckaert was right on him on the line. We'll have to look at that again, but there was nothing in it at all. Absolutely nothing in it. Here's the group sprint coming in. And Gilbert Duclos-Lasalle, Thomas Wegmuller, Adrie van der Poel were heading home that sprint. But look at this crowd. There's nobody here knows who has won Paris Roubaix, because right on the line, which is where we are commentating from, it is not apparent at all. Well, we'll have a chance to see that again in slow motion, but I can see Walter Plankett down in the centre of the track, and he's congratulating Eddie Plankett. Now let's look at this from our high camera. Well, that should be Plankett on the left, and on the right is Bauer. And you know, I don't know. That will go to a decision. I know what my decision would be, a dead heat, and I think it would be the fairest result, but I'm sure they'll come up with the answer. Let's have one more look at it from this direction. Steve Bauer on the right at this stage was in the clear lead. I don't know where Eddie Plankett found it from. I bet his eyes were shut though, as he just lunged his bike at the line. Watch the white line. Oh, it's possible that Plankett has shaded it. And in fact, they are saying that the victory has indeed gone to Eddie Plankett. The scrummage is on here as the cameramen seek out the Belgian. He has finally won Paris Roubaix in the 8th time. And there he is, Eddie Plankett, the winner of Paris Roubaix in the closest finish in the history of cycling. The official verdict is 1 millimetre. And while we watch Eddie Plankett here, let me give you the complete result. A win for Eddie Plankett of Belgium for Panasonic. His time, 7 hours, 37 minutes and 2 seconds, beating Steve Bauer of Canada by a millimetre. And everybody's heart must go out to Steve Bauer from the 7-Eleven team. Edwig van Hooijdonk from the Buckler team is in 3rd place. Marshall Guéant, who was with that group and finally nearly caught them up again, he was placed 4th at 3 seconds back, and Jean-Marie Wampers, the winner a year ago, was 5th in the same time as Guéant. Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, will he ever win? Just watch this finish while I continue with the result. Duclos-Lassalle finished 6th, Thomas Wegmuller was 7th, Adrie van der Poel was 8th, and Rudy Dahlmans was 9th, John Tarland finished 10th. So, as we watch the closest finish in the history of the sport, without the referees declaring a dead heat between Steve Bauer of Canada and Eddie Plankett of Belgium, the Paris-Roubaix, the queen of the classics, has once again truly lived up to its name. From the Roubaix Velodrome in France, with 2 riders looking to have won the race, it's goodbye. And the crowd seeing the first point where they think decisions can be taken in this year's Paris-Roubaix here in the forest. 158 kilometers covered. And as almost traditionally, the early breakaway rather, has gone after 50 kilometers. They're bringing it back now. It's not so long ago, though, when they made a big mistake back in 1988, when the early breakaway survived to the end and Derek de Mol outsprinted Thomas Wegmuller, who had that plastic bag covering his gears, and that spoiled his sprint. And that was probably the most recent of the big surprises in Paris-Roubaix. It's very rare indeed that one of the best riders doesn't win this event. And there's the smooth path which the riders have found this year. Most of the teams, of course, coming here in team formation and riding, and now they want the side of the road, and the crowd are having to jump for it. I think this is half of the reason the crowd comes, to enjoy the full feeling of Paris-Roubaix. Just look at these pictures now. And the leading break almost caught. There's about 30 seconds in it now, with the advance party of the main field coming down. Well, this morning at the start, it was a very tense Eddie Plankett, last year's winner. He didn't want to be interviewed on the line. Always a good sign that he wants to put up a fine defence of what was a great victory last year by that millimetre over Steve Bauer. Bauer, too, all week has been trying to
engender in himself the confidence to win this race, because he has yet to find the top form that brought him into a very close second place last year. But there was indication in midweek races that Bauer was returning to good form. He wants to do the ride too, of course, for his new Motorola team. And just look at the way they're tapping out the rhythm over these cobblestones. Our cameras really aren't showing you close enough just how bad the cobbles are. But it's all over now as the leading group swings away from the Forest of Arlenberg. This is back to the leaders now. This is Ballerini, and it looks as though there's been an attack here. Ballerini and John Tarlin are the two riders here at this group. We've gone back up, and we've missed, unfortunately, our French cameras have missed this breakaway. But a rider has jumped, and it must have been soon out of that far bend we saw. Well, they're coming towards the end of zone number 2. Tarlin chasing. Ballerini is here. Well, we're off zone 2 now. The fact our cameraman is with the two leaders. No, he isn't. That's Wilfred Peters who's come through. I was about to say that it looks as though the group had split up, and it certainly has. There's one rider in the lead, and you know, I think it's got to be Marc Madio who's gone ahead, because Ballerini is chasing. Sergent is still off the back of this group. It is indeed Madio. So Marc Madio has attacked in exactly the same place where he attacked and won this race back in 1985. Well, I keep thinking now about the conversation with Christian Remer, who said that watch out for Marc today. He's got good form. He gave us some indication in last week's Tour of Flanders. In fact, he was in the lead group there, working hard in the break. Well, this is his 10th Paris-Roubaix, Madio. He's still around 10 kilometers to go to the finish. It's quite possible now, because the whole field is spread-eagled over the road behind him. The motorcycles have fought their way through to get the one shot that could be of the winner today, as Madio concentrates now on the effort. And let's hope he doesn't suffer the same fate as Hendrik Redant did a little bit earlier. That's Ballerini who's got away now. He's blocked a little bit, Ballerini, by John Tarlin on the cobbles. I think, in fact, it must have been Tarlin who was on the wheel of Madio when he attacked. And there's Tarlin now, being passed by Ballerini. But Ballerini is still the danger man. If Ballerini crosses that gap, he'll take care of Madio, I'm sure of that. There's poor old Redant hanging on in there just off the back of this breakaway. His legs now have lost the aggression they had earlier. A penchant for Paris-Roubaix, Marc Madio. This is the approach that every rider likes, to be in the lead in Paris-Roubaix. If you're alone in the lead right now, it must be a marvellous feeling for Marc Madio. He's just making sure nobody's creeping up on him. He's now taking time to look around, preparing himself for what will be a royal welcome in the Velodrome at Roubaix. And in the great tradition of this race, a rider comes home alone, and I'm going to now just let you hear the cheers. This is the turn he's waiting for when he'll go onto the Velodrome, Marc Madio. And that says it all. A Frenchman in France on the Velodrome of Roubaix, bringing to a close the greatest classic of them all. And just the formality now of 1.5 laps of the Roubaix Velodrome. No millimetre in it this time. And one has to say, no Steve Bauer or Eddie Plankett either. And there's the fist being shaken in pleasure at the crowd and at the television and press who are commentating from that point. And it looks as though Madio will encircle the stadium before the sprint for second place. He's going to cross the line indeed. The second time he's won Paris-Roubaix as a professional. He's done it before also as an amateur. And there are very few riders in the world can boast 3 victories in Paris-Roubaix. And now comes the moment of the jersey straightening, possibly the two-arm salute. Marc Madio is back in the big time. And a great ride, and here's the chase, and this group has got rather big all of a sudden. This is Jean-Claude Pelotti leading them out. He's come from nowhere. Ballerini is up there as well. Wilfred Peters and Steve Bauer has latched onto this. 5 men down. Bauer must have caught this group in the last kilometre. We never knew that Bauer was chasing. He was on one of our pictures, and Bauer has got up for this group. Well, a second place for Steve Bauer wouldn't be a bad defence, would it? Jean-Claude Colotti, the French sprinter, leading them out. Ballerini in second place at the moment. It looks as though we've got Wilfred Peters there in third place. Steve Bauer going high on the banking. Bauer going high. Carlo Bowman's taking him on. Bauer on the shoulder now of Ballerini as Jean-Claude Colotti. Bauer has gone into the slipstream of Ballerini. So Colotti now coming round towards the finish. Another Frenchman in the fight yet again. Bauer poised to jump. Bauer goes now. A couple of lap riders on the inside who are a lap behind them. But as they come onto the line now, Jean-Claude Colotti, Bauer's on the left, Bowman's on the right, and Colotti takes it. That is a French 1-2, and that's not been done since the Pelissier brothers did that back in 1921. And this is the winner, Marc Madiot of France, Jean-Claude Colotti in second place, and third is the Belgian rider on the far right of our picture, Carlo Bowmans, and Steve Bauer. What a superb ride by Steve, contacting this group almost in the velodrome and getting the legs to get up for fourth place for the Motorola team. And this is Bauer. Bauer again putting on a good performance in the race he seems to ride so well in. He's got to the front, he's got to do something now. Duclos-Lassalle is surviving far too long in the lead, and although they're closing down, we're talking of 5 and 6 seconds at a time, then they freewheel and Duclos-Lassalle is taking it back again. A little chance to have a look in slow motion at the pounding the bike is taking, not to mention the bones in the body over the cobblestones as we're coming now towards the end of the cobblestones in this year's Paris-Roubaix. They've got to apply the pressure at the front, and they must break up that big group, because if they don't break that group up, they're never going to come back and pull back Duclos-Lassalle. There's the blackboard man, but he didn't show us the blackboard, unfortunately. I think he showed it to Duclos-Lassalle. Now this is Nico Verhoeven, in fact, so it might well be they've wiped out, and that's Le Monde coming across too. So I think they may have picked up now Van Poppel and Van Slyke. We never saw the capture on television, but this is Nico Verhoeven, a rider who seems to me to have refound himself this year. A very talented rider, but he's got good confidence, and Le Monde equally, the same must be said of him, because Le Monde is playing the perfect teammate. He shot out the peloton to try and pin down Nico Verhoeven. If Verhoeven got across the Duclos-Lassalle, he would beat him, that's for sure. He's a good finisher, and Greg is going to take him, and then maybe he'll just sit on the back wheel of him. I don't think Greg will participate, even though he's reduced it to one man. He's checking to see the proximity of the chase. Well, this is a very strong attack here by Verhoeven. And Le Monde has got him. Well, Le Monde has got him, and he's not going to help him. So, Greg Le Monde pins down Nico Verhoeven, and now seems content. He hardly looks out of breath either, Greg. Seems content now just to... is he thinking of going through and working with him? Maybe. Because he's just making sure that there's nobody else there. And the Z could finish up first and second today if they keep this up. This is Duclos, and our cameraman there right up behind him, holding his camera almost on the cobblestones. Now it is a run through to the finish at Roubaix, and the lovely smooth concrete of the velodrome that has welcomed this race virtually since its beginning in 1896. The 19th of April 1896 was the date of the first Paris-Roubaix. It was won by a German, Joseph Fischer, but it won't be won by a German this time. The crowd are welcoming a Frenchman, Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, and just listen to the noise here of the crowd, absolutely tremendous. Onto the stadium, and Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle knows now that at 14 attempts, this one is for him. And the man who's been denied a perfect birthday will be Olaf Ludwig, because it's his birthday tomorrow. Ludwig is into the sides of the stadium. He'll be coming onto the track. He's going to be virtually one full circuit of the velodrome behind Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle. And Duclos-Lassalle might see him come in here as he comes round the back straight. Duclos-Lassalle, and there he is, he's just come into the stadium. So what a great feeling for Duclos-Lassalle. He's racing for the win, and he can see the tail of the rider who will take second place, Olaf Ludwig of Germany. And now all that remains for Duclos is the two-handed salute. He's going to do it right behind Olaf Ludwig, who looks over his shoulder. And this has been one of the most memorable victories in Paris-Roubaix. Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle Since 1977, he's wanted to win it, and at last, having finished second twice, he's done it. Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, and let's remember, he's done it too on these special forks, which are American, and now, believe me, next year, everybody will be riding them. Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, mobbed by, amongst others, Michel Laine, the assistant team manager, former Tour de France rider as well. And here comes the sprint now, which is for third place. Jean-Claude Colotti is in this league group too. Colotti was second, of course, when he came here last year behind Marc Madiot, who escaped towards the finish. Olaf Ludwig takes second place, freewheels out of it now as the sprint builds up. There's a crash there, and that's Moncassin, and he's been hit by a rider from PDM. Christophe Capel is the other Z rider here, and I think it's Rudy Darlens as well, who has gone down to the left of our picture. There he is, Darlens. Can't believe it. He's had so many finishes in the first six, and he's been robbed again of another finish in the first six, right on the line, I am sure of that. And this is Franco Ballerini leading it out here now for the finish. Johan Capio is the rider of TVM who's trying to move up on the outside too. The tulip rider is Peter Peters. Peters has got the front here on the inside, but he's not going to get it. Capio takes it. So Johan Capio will take third place, and Greg LeMond was right up there in that group as well. Jean-Claude Colotti finishes fifth, I would say. He was third in that sprint. And just look at the crowd here. I don't think anybody noticed that crash, you know, in the stadium, because they're all too busy congratulating Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle of France, who can now retire, and by the way, there's no rumour of that just yet, as the winner of this event. And so Duclos-Lassalle joins Bernardino and Marc Madiot as the only French winners of this event since 1956, and that is tremendous for France, and especially so for Duclos-Lassalle. And Greg LeMond rode a marvellous race, and the first question was, what did he think of it?
It was a great race. I mean, it was, first of all, I felt this is the best Paris Roubaix really physically I've had my whole career. And I felt even if we came close to the victory, I would be capable of following the best riders.
You gave the impression you were feeling so good that had they caught Duclos-Lassalle, you would have had the strength to attack yourself.
No, I felt very good. It's the best Paris Roubaix I've had in my career. So.
Were you just as happy because Gilbert's won?
Yeah, because I worked very hard, and then you're still, I didn't really know in the last 10 Ks if he won or not, because Ludwig went away. It was just after Museo attacked, and I followed Museo. I just let up and thought somebody else would chase down Ludwig, and nobody chased him down, so I was hoping Ludwig didn't catch Gilbert. And so when you work really hard all day and then you find out he wins,
You really came to this race fired today, didn't you?
I'd hoped to myself try to win the race or top 10. I think I've got top 10 today, but ninth, yeah.
No disappointment that Gilbert won?
Oh, God, no, because hey, if we would have caught him, would have I won? I don't know. It's too difficult to say. There were at least, I think I would have been in the top 5, but I'm certain I was the strongest riders today.
And this must have done so much for your morale now for the rest of this year.
Yeah, well, I know I've trained hard this winter. My only problem has been my weight, not fat weight. I did a lot of cross-country skiing this winter, and I had incredibly big arms for cyclists and a big back. And I'm just slowly, in the last 2-3 weeks, I felt myself lose 1 kilo. I know I lost 1 kilo just the last 2-3 weeks. And I've had difficulty in the early season on the climbs, but I knew in Paris Roubaix my power was very good, and I knew I had a chance.
Greg, superb, well done.
All right, okay. I got to go to the shop.
Well, the crowd has found this bend at one of the key bends. Many of them having transferred from the forest by car. Sometimes a problem to get through the traffic jams, but they're here anyway. 16 seconds, so this fine riding by Aldag is now causing the gap to close down. And just look how the break also is spread eagle now by the fine pacemaking. Oh, and it's Ballerini who's causing the pain. Duclos-Lassalle trying to grab his wheel. Franco Ballerini, it had to come from the MGGB boys, it had to. Because one's the stayer, that's the man who'll go for the long one, and that's Ballerini. Museo is the one they'd save for the sprinter. Ballerini is gone, and Duclos-Lassalle has read it well. Where does this old man of French cycling find it from? He's fought all day to join the leaders. He's up there, and now he's determined. It can only be because he's last year's winner. He's inspired beyond belief. Last year's winner, racing on French soil. Well, not quite soil either, stones.
Ballerini has been riding so well this year. And just look at this. He's coming right up to our camera. Oh, he's coming right up to the two leaders. My goodness me, he's on them. He's gone straight by them. And so too has Duclos Lazelle, and Van der Poel has realised it. Frison wants to know if there's any more coming, and there isn't. This is a superb move now. And I think that Van der Poel can't get on the train. Ballerini is still content to make the running. Duclos Lazelle is going with him. Well, we're approximately 19 miles from the finish here. It's still a long way to go, but this has gone so quickly off the group. And one has to ask, is it the adrenaline that has caused Duclos Lazelle to catch the wheel of Ballerini? Because surely this man hasn't got the legs today. The French said he was their favourites, but I thought that was just a little bit of nepotism. There we saw 25 kilometres to go, so it's just over 15 miles from the finish. Little signal there from Ballerini, and I think it was to call Duclos Lazelle through, but he's not going. 15 miles from the finish. Crucial point to put home the attack. They split that chase group up behind. Van der Poel has gone back, so too has Frison. I don't know if our French cameras now, because they're going to be a little bit excited by this breakaway, will show us the chase, but they have the helicopter, and there it is. It's reduced to 4 men. Van der Poel is still in there. Looking down, I'm afraid to say that Sean Yates is gone. I'm sorry about that, because Sean is such a good bike rider, deserves a result in this race. So they might bring these back. We could have 6 leaders very shortly. Now, a chance to see the sloping top tube there on Franco Ballerini's frame. Now, that frame was specially made, sprayed and built only 24 hours before the start of Paris Roubaix, because Ballerini decided to try out one of these soft ride suspensions, extensions rather, on his bike. And because he altered his riding position and made his handlebars too high, he foamed Milan, and he had a bike made with a sloping top tube, so he would reform in the position which he always rides in. And that machine only arrived 24 hours before the start of Paris Roubaix. Turned right. We're now heading down towards the stadium. The next right turn will be onto the stadium. Ballerini's keeping to the far left. He knows if Duclos will attack him, he must come on one side of the road only. He's moved over to the far right now to try and force him the long way round into the stadium. Now he's going to have to make the turn to the so. Duclos Lazelle has won the first battle. He's going into the stadium in the position behind, which will give him the benefit of surprise, but has he got the legs? There'll be an enormous cheer too as he enters the track. There's a marvellous big screen in the track centre. They're watching these pictures. They know that Duclos will come through in second place. The crowd will welcome them now. Ballerini will take them onto the concrete velodrome at Roubaix, giving Duclos Lazelle the benefit of surprise now. There's no speed here. If Ballerini has got the strength, why isn't he going quicker, I must ask myself, because surely Duclos Lazelle is finished. But you never know, if he takes him to the line, what he will discover. The chanting is Duclos, 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 as Lazelle sits there behind Ballerini. The bell goes for one lap of the track. Ballerini stays low. He should go high, surely. Why doesn't he take him high on the bank and dive off it? Ballerini is waiting for Lazelle to move. He's almost tempting him through. He's waiting to see the move come. This Italian must have some confidence. He's a cool operator, that's for sure. Down the back straight. Ballerini has looked, he's looked back, and Lazelle has gone. Duclos has gone, and he's got the lead. Ballerini still takes his slipstream. He's going to have to come in the tailwind in the home straight. Ballerini will have to move in the last 50 metres now as Duclos Lazelle goes for goal for the second year. Off the final banking. Now Ballerini is coming on the left of our picture. Ballerini, but Duclos Lazelle is holding him. Ballerini thinks he's got it. His arm is in the air.
Franco Ballerini of Italy thinks he's the first man to win it, but I would like to see the replay because I'm not so sure it was close. It was as close as the Bauer-Eddie Plankett sprint a few years back. There's no doubt in Ballerini's mind. He's won the Paris-Roubaix. His arms are in the air down the back straight at the very point where Duclos-Lassalle made his effort. Let's look at this again. You see Ballerini on the left now. He's still kicking and Duclos is hanging on. And unfortunately, somebody has popped in there to obscure that shot. So it's gone to the photograph for Franco Ballerini. Looking across now, he's no longer quite so certain that he has won. Yes, he is. He thinks he's won it. Let's look at the picture. Well, Franco Ballerini has lost it. He's lost it. Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, who thought he'd lost it, and Ballerini doesn't know. It's not announced. He thinks he's won Paris-Roubaix. This is unbelievable. But the winner of Paris-Roubaix is Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle. There's no doubt about that now, despite the fact that Ballerini continues to celebrate. Let's watch the race for third place. They're on the track. Olaf Ludwig, Johan Museeuw in this chase group. Edwig van Hooijdonk is leading them on. Museeuw in second place. Then comes, and in fact, Sean Yates has got back. What a ride by Sean Yates is in this group as well. Ludwig is there. I think that Van Hooijdonk hasn't got much hope as he leads this out. The only man that should concern Museeuw is Ludwig. Museeuw takes the wheel of Ludwig. But Ludwig, at the end of a race like this, can often finish them off, and he's going to go for gold now. As Museeuw is going to try and make it at least second and third for the GB boys, but he's not going to do it. Olaf Ludwig gets third today, Museeuw is fourth, and Van der Poel gets fifth. They've just announced it. Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle is the winner of Paris-Roubaix. The oldest winner ever. He'd done that last year, but he's a year older this year. And the first Frenchman to defend his title since 1911. And there's the picture again that has decided Paris-Roubaix. Who would have thought we would see almost a repeat of the photo finish when Eddie Plankett beat Steve Bauer back in 1990. And so the result of this marvellous climax to Paris-Roubaix, Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, the winner in 6 hours, 45 minutes and 20 seconds, beating Franco Ballerini, who really did it all wrong over those last few kilometres. Olaf Ludwig takes third place, 2 minutes and 9 seconds back. Johan Museeuw was fourth. Sean Yates of Motorola finishing in 8th place, the best finish by a British rider for 20 years. Well, in 1994, the weather really did turn on the style, at least for the spectators, if not for the riders. This was one of the worst weather conditions for many, many years. This really was Paris-Roubaix, and there was a shock in store for all of the established names. But now we've got last year's 1 and 2 riding together. Franco Ballerini just on the wheel here of Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, shades of 12 months ago. And there's still a chance, you know, they could fight out the finish together. This is a very, very bad stretch of cobblestones indeed. You can't see the stones, and at times that mud is running around about 2 inches deep. Ballerini grits his teeth, comes up on Museeuw, doesn't seem to be going so well now. Museeuw, though, inspired by the sight of number 11 going by him, digs a little bit deeper, but this is a fine piece of riding by Ballerini. Now Ballerini, maybe he's chosen this stretch to put in the attack that he hopes will bridge the gap. Followed by Museeuw, quickly recovers when he sees the danger man come over him. They were joint favourites this morning. My favourite was Ballerini, the French newspaper L'Équipe, and just look at the depth of the water there, and Duclos goes right through the middle of it. The French newspaper went for Museeuw ahead of Ballerini to win, and I just wonder sometimes if the riders read the press and then respond to try and keep up their reputation. Anyway, there's the group. We've got Baldato again. Oh, and my goodness me, Ballerini has punctured the back wheel, is flat, and Duclos Lazal doesn't even look at him, and you can't possibly ride on these cobbles with a flat tyre. Now this will be a disaster because as far as I know, there's no service around at all. They've been split up by the moves and the crash of the two motorcycles. They've been trapped at the back, and Ballerini in terrible trouble. Look down the road. That in fact is an official photographer coming through, will have no wheels on his bike at all. And Ballerini is now in desperate straits, fighting to stay upright, and hopefully somebody will arrive very, very quickly to bail him out. Just look at the stretch he's punctured on, and they really couldn't be much worse than this, could they? Ballerini, runner-up last year, great favourite today, in desperate trouble in Paris Roubaix now. And Gubak, well, look at this. This is ironic, isn't it? Because now Gilbert Duclos Lazal has punctured his back wheel, last year's winner. We're now watching riders 1 and 2 a year ago. They've punctured the same wheel in exactly the same position. And what a difference a year makes. And I think the same is going to apply. Duclos Lazal has got no service behind him either. And they're watching the race right away from them. And who says you don't need luck to win Paris Roubaix? Slither and sliding on the cobble sections of this marvellous race as going through on the inside there. I think it's Sean Yates stomping on the pedals as he goes straight by. He's got a nice pair of wheels at least. Frankie Andreu, André van der Poel, Olaf Ludwig find their way through as well. They're watching two crippled cyclists, the two stars of last year's race, now in desperate trouble on the receiving end of what, especially for, well, no, for both of them really, because Ballerini has crashed and punctured already. Duclos Lazal we know has fallen twice, and now as the race goes by them, the remnants of this breakaway, they are left hopelessly awash, and I don't think, judging by the number of riders who have got through, they can possibly get back into contention, can they? The crowd has spotted their man, and they've also spotted the speed he's going, and then they're looking at his back wheel and they're thinking, no, it can't have happened. Desperate look over the shoulder there, and they're virtually asking the race photographers here, you know, to help us. Who's got the wheels? You see, this race official here is radioing back for a car to say that the two riders, Ballerini and Duclos, and now they've arrived. And irony above irony, the Frenchman will get the wheel first. I know everybody will think that's a little bit biased, but it was the luck of the draw, because in fact Duclos was nearer the bike. But you know, there's nobody looking to Ballerini, and in fact Ballerini is going to have to get his own wheel. There's another rider from Novamai who's punctured. I think it might be Verhoeven, who's also taking a wheel. He's helping himself at the back of the motorbike there to a back wheel. Ballerini's done likewise, and I think that's Capio slipping through on the inside too. Absolute chaos towards the closing stages of this race today, and there's still here 24 kilometres to go. That's 15 miles still to race. It's still a long way to go, and the situation has time to be reversed here. Well, I suppose there's no one knows that better than Schmiel. And the helicopter hovering ahead will probably be seen by Museu, so we'll know exactly where he is. Very, very gently round the right-hand bend on those treacherous surfaces. Immediately out of the saddle and sits down quickly to hold the spin off that back wheel. 41 seconds now, and Johan Museu, here he is, and I think he's got a puncture. Museu is in trouble, I'm not sure, and he can't get his feet out of the cleats here. Now it's a completely new bike prepared for Paris-Roubaix, and it may well, he's about to fall off. In fact, he's balancing superbly, and they've saved him. Well, in fact, the trouble is that Museu probably hasn't been off that bike since he started, and those cleats were designed to hold the feet harder than normal because of the cobblestones, and in fact they should have tried it beforehand, but he can't get them out. Anyway, he's out of them now, a new bike straight away. I don't know what the problem was. It didn't look to me, in fact, as though his tyres had gone down, but it's cost him around about 15 valuable seconds, which means that the two riders coming up fast behind him can't be too far away now. And that'll be Ludwig Willems and Bottaro. The Javis rider,
Dario Bottaro, we might get a glimpse of him actually, because in fact Museo has hardly raced clear here. He's still sliding a little bit round the back, and there they are. And in fact, there is the bottom of our picture is Museo, so he's going to have a teammate with him very, very shortly. And he's also going to have a rival in the form of Bottaro. Oh, the way he's going now, he's waiting their arrival. He's not trying to hold them off anymore. 1:17 to Museo, so the gap opened dramatically there with that problem. And 1:23, but I think it'll be academic. We're going to have 3 chasers very, very shortly, and there they are. Ballerini is now here too. Ballerini has come to the back of this group. Well, goodness knows, he's chased for ages to recover. Because if you remember that when he punctured with Duclos Lasalle here, Lasalle was away very quickly and got up here about a couple of kilometres ago. But Ballerini's now come up too, and Duclos Lasalle has seen him and taken a second glance, because I don't think he believes it. So he's seen his arch rival return now, and the top 2 of a year ago are back in the chase group. 3rd in the Tour of Flanders, 4th in Ghent-Wevelgem, the winner of the Grand Prix Harelbeke this year, and now the biggest of them all. He's going to go down in history as the winner of Paris Roubaix, and just the circuits to go. As he goes past the point of entry, he knows now they can't catch him. They never take a lap out of him. He waves to the crowd. It could well have been his wife there, because she's on the back straight, Eleanor, as he comes round towards the finish straight now, and the greatest moment of his life, as he will start to salute the crowd, because nobody can touch him. The winner of Paris-Roubaix in 1994, André Schmiel, the champion of Moldavia today, and for everybody else, including the Lotto team, I would say the champion from Belgium as well, because their champion, their real champion, Johan Museo, tried everything and was washed away over the slime of the Roubaix cobbles. Here's the race for second place now, and Baldato has got clear, and so too is Ballerini. It's Ballerini who's setting the pace, a familiar finish for Ballerini. He was second, don't forget, when he was in a 2-man sprint against, indeed, Duclos Lasalle, who's not here, so Ballerini must have escaped just over the last kilometre or so. And the gap is not going to be that great, around about 1:20, so they closed in, they continue to close in. But look at the surface here, very dangerous conditions indeed now for sprinting on the velodrome. Ballerini showed us a year ago he's not a great track man. He gets a little bit frightened of situations like this, but he's trying now to go as quickly as he can to stop any attack from Baldato. But Baldato's coming quickly over his shoulder, and Baldato has taken great risks there, but he's eaten Ballerini in the sprint. Second last year for Ballerini, 3rd this time. Fabio Baldato gets second, and the clock stops at 1:13, the gap. This is the battle now as they come onto the track. Duclos Lasalle getting all of the cheers, but he's being washed away by the sprinter Olaf Ludwig. And coming up too on Olaf Ludwig is Johan Capio, but Ludwig takes it, so he gets 4th place. Yates is in 5th place for the Motorola team. Johan Capio for TBM gets there in 6th place, and at the back of the group, and 7th this year. And he really was a great man of the race today, Duclos Lasalle in 7th. But there's the flowers, and there will never be more hard-earned than the flowers of the champion today. He'll also become the winner of the World Cup, the leader of the World Cup competition today. And who knows, by the time the 1994 season ends, we might well remember this salute as the one that took him eventually to victory in the World Cup competition. But for the moment, the champion, there's no doubt about that. He's tried all season, and it's come right in the end. From the Roubaix Velodrome, the winner today, André Schmiel of Moldavia, the first ever. And while he carries home now the sacred cobblestone for his sideboard, and I hope they've reinforced the sideboard to hold it, we'll leave you now with the result of the Paris-Roubaix. André Schmiel finishing the course in 7 hours, 28 minutes and 2 seconds, ahead of Fabio Baldato, 1:13 back, in the same time as Ballerini, and then Olaf Ludwig finishing 4th, 1 minute and 26 seconds down.
Clear blue skies in the Place du General de Gaulle and the 93rd running of Paris-Roubaix. Hello again, I'm Phil Liggett and welcome along. Yes, it's a beautiful spring day here in France, and the riders, I think, will be thankful for that. because this, without doubt, is the hardest of all of the classic races. It's the one that many riders refuse to ride. Those who do come here don't want to be in the race, but you know, for the man who wins it, then it means he'll be famous quite simply forever. Let's have a look at some of the riders who really are here, bidding for another victory in Paris Roubaix. The grand old man of French cycling, now approaching his 41st birthday, is Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle. And the obvious question to ask Gilbert, the winner in 92 and 93, was he going to win again?
Duclos, vous avez la grande forme pour ces classiques comme toujours? Oui, comme toujours.
Yes, I always have the grand form, and I want to win this race for another time. After winning a stage last week in Pays Basque, I think I can do it. You're now 40 years of age, yet you still have the good form. Yes, I'm 40 years of age, but I'm still riding well, and I'm still enjoying it, and I can still do my job riding the velo.
Merci.
So Duclos-Lassalle will have to face Fabio Baldato, named as one of the favourites this morning, and so too was Steve Bauer. Steve, memories back almost, well, 5 years, and the weather was similar on that occasion. Are we going to see you second or first this time?
Well, I'm feeling very good coming up to this race. I did some good racing before Paris Roubaix, and it's been my focus since I started training this spring. And I feel good. You know, I had a pretty good crash on Wednesday, and I'm banged up, but I think I've recuperated enough. I'm ready to do a good race.
Bauer second back in 1990 to the Belgian Eddie Plankert by a centimetre. Olaf Ludwig, another pre-race favourite, always rides well here. And Frankie Andreu of Team Motorola, a favourite. The biggest newspaper in the world for sports, put you among the favourites this morning.
I'm happy to hear that. All I have to do is prove them right now. So it's going to be a tough day. The sun's shining. It's going to be very fast. I mean, much faster than last year. So it's going to be a big battle for position. And a lot of it's going to be staying in the front. And I'm just going to try my best, try to get there.
Andre Schmil, who shocked everybody with a brilliant ride 1 year ago to win this race. He's come back here with the great form and the likelihood he could do it again, having just finished third in the Het Vault and third in the Tour of Flanders. And one man who knows all about Paris-Roubaix is my co-commentator, Paul Sherwen. Paul, how many times have you ridden Paris-Roubaix?
I rode 7 times, but I must admit today's a really beautiful day for Paris-Roubaix. There was not the snow that was around here last year, and I think we'll see an excellent race. And there's 1 or 2 pretenders out there for the overall victory, and really I wouldn't like to put my money on anyone.
Oh, you've got to. Give me a winner.
You really put me under pressure. It really is, it's difficult to say, Phil, because Ballerini would have been a #1 favourite, had a bad crash last week. I would have said Bauer was a great favourite. He's bruised and battered as well. Museo fell off this week. So really, it's hard to go out there and say, but I think one of those riders who were up there last week, I think in the Tour of Flanders, is going to be up there again today. But let's not forget Duclos-Lassalle had a great win this week in Pays Basque. It could be Duclos.
There's Museo again, out of the saddle, easing out of the saddle, taking second wheel and spoiling everybody's fun. You can't blame him for that. Van Hooijdonk. Ellison gritting his teeth and going through. Sean Yates going through. Duclos-Lassalle here, second. Baldato just in front of him. Duclos looks good, but he's just hoping, I think, a little bit that this group comes up. There's the dropped Capio has come back into this group. He still looks quite good, but that's Capio. This is back with the leaders. In fact, Franco Ballerini has gone on his own. He's made his move here on the section of cobble, zone number 6 between Templeuve and Pont Thibault. Now this is a good move, but he's leaving himself a fair way to run into the finish, but he knows 2 of those riders back in that chase group are not going to counter this move. That's the benefit of the strength of this team. He's made his move on the cobbles and he has got the gap. As we pull back, you can see the chasers are there, but the gap is very definitely on. And this is Templeuve now. He's around about 32 kilometres from the finish, and that's just 20 miles to go. And Ballerini has put his gloves on the table here. He knows if it fails, Bortolami is still there. Taffy is still there, but we don't know how strong Taffy can be now. Franco Ballerini, he's riding better than ever before. He seems to have found all of his old confidence. He came up with his victory in Het Volk in Belgium this year. Turn professional. Duclos-Lassalle has got a problem. Lassalle's punctured. And in fact, he wants the television camera out of the way. He is fuming. The camera's stopped to watch. Duclos-Lassalle, and I'll leave you to speak French because I'm not going to tell you what he's saying, but it's not very complimentary. Because in fact, Duclos-Lassalle, our cameraman, should not have stopped there. because what he did was block all of these cars to get through. The gap is going, and the grand old man of Paris-Roubaix may not rejoin now. And that look said it all at the television cameraman. Everybody gets a little bit excited when a flat tire happens, especially when it's a French cameraman with a French cyclist. But Duclos Lassalle, I think, will have a lot to say when he gets to the finish now, because he's got to rejoin that chase group. That's a great shame. That's a great... In fact, he's still looking round at us here. So Duclos Lassalle has a long, empty road ahead to catch up with that chase group. And we'll go back to the man who's setting the pace, Franco Ballerini. A quick drink and back into the thick of the action. And this is Franco Ballerini, a rider who turned professional back in 1986 when he didn't win a race. In fact, from memory, his best position was 25th in the Tour of Lombardy. There was no indication there he was going to be a superb classic racer. I have to say that Yekimov, in his first Paris-Roubaix, is riding superbly. And the man doing the damage in the chase is Sean Yates of Team Motorola, and the man trying to slow everything down in second place is Johan Museeuw. Well, Museeuw, I wonder how he feels inside. He must feel a little bit frustrated by the attack of his team, but on the other hand, it is the victory that counts for the team. But he's the leader in the World Cup, and he's seeing points sail out of the window at the moment. Although if they pick up that chase group of 5, the second place race is on. And second place points today would do him just nicely and would give Mappé the old 1-2 as well. 2 minutes 8 seconds for Ballerini, and still no real chase here. I think that they've actually thrown the towel in. They're racing now for second place. Number 32 is Aldag, and Johan Museeuw looking very cool and waiting for the sprint. Max Chandri in the blue in the centre, he's leading. Nelson, it should be a great sprint anyway, because these riders are all sprinters. And there's another one there too, right in the middle, from Team Novell, Frédéric Moncassin, won Kern-Brussels-Kern this year. He's another fine finisher. And this is probably the reason why the riders are now boxing their own game here, because they just don't know who is going to take second place. I think they've now accepted that Ballerini has won this race, and he won it at about 40 kilometres out today. He broke clear of that lead group at 32 kilometres to go, 20 miles, and he hasn't looked back since, quite literally. Could be the last drink before we head into town. Yeah, there goes the bottle. So he'll be making the turn towards the finishing road and then into the stadium. 1 3/4 laps of the velodrome. There's a marvellous crowd there. They're treated to watching the whole of the race on a huge television screen, so they know the quality of the ride of this man today. And Franco Ballerini shakes his head in disbelief. Now he sees the stadium, and he's alone, and he's going to win. The crowd love it. Onto the track itself now. Now the accelerations. He starts to go into the home straight. He'll have 1 lap to go here. Franco Ballerini is going to win this race as he goes round, and we can now join Paul Sherwen enjoying it.
Well, there you have it, Phil. Franco Ballerini has got 1 lap to go in this year's Paris-Roubaix. He's been so close over the last few years to taking victory in this race. He was so close with Duclos Lassalle a couple of years ago. It was a photo finish, and you can hear the crowd here. They're on their feet. They're saluting the man who should have won this race on so many occasions. What a fine performance by Franco Ballerini over the last 40 kilometres. Phil, take him over to the line.
With the greatest of pleasure, because Franco Ballerini, so often the runner-up, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, but never the winner. And today he's going to win, and he's going to enjoy this all of the way to the line. He just waves to the crowd. He may be Italian, but the people here today simply love him. They've got the memories of his defeat when a Frenchman won, but today it is a race for Italy and a race for Ballerini. And now we also have a race here for second place, because they're all together again. And can Johan Museeuw make it a 1-2 for Mappé? They have been a sensational team in the race today. They have not done anything wrong at all. And now it's up to Museeuw, who is a sprinter, to finish this off and make it a 1-2 for Mappé. And in fact, we've got Bortolami, the faithful teammate to the end, leading out Museeuw into the stadium. It's a long way to go for Bortolami, who must be tired
But Museo's second wheel there now. Yekimov is there too. So too is André Schmil. They've got a slight lead over the rest of the group, which has left the other sprinters out of it. Now Bortolami going as quick as he can. He'll stay as long as he can on the front, but his legs must be burning by now. And Museo will wait as long as possible because Schmil can finish well. I'm not too sure whether Yekimov can after that long breakaway. 1 lap to go. The other sprinters have been outwitted there. Outwitted they have been because they cannot get on now in what is just 1 lap of the track to go. Now Bortolami, he is looking so tired he can't go any quicker. Museo's going to have to go, and he's going to have to go early. He looks across, he sees Yekimov, he sees Schmil. Schmil is taking him on, shoulder to shoulder. André Schmil, the man who won this last year, is now taking on Johan Museo. Museo is having to lead from a long way out, and he comes round into the home straight now. Museo sees the finish. He's got the advantage of the inside. Yekimov is coming on the left. Schmil is in the centre. It's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight indeed. Let's look at it again, because I really can't split here these two riders. On the right, we've got Museo. In the centre, we've got Schmil. I just believe Yekimov hasn't got there, but I'm not too sure whether Museo has either. And as they come up to the line, it looks to me as though Schmil has taken second place, and that will put Museo third. Let's have another look. Well, there's no doubt from that angle, André Schmil is second. And for Steve Bauer, a 17th place today, and for this man, after knowing what it's like to finish third and second, Franco Ballerini finally gets his big victory in Paris Roubaix. He'll remember it for the rest of his days. And this is Bortolami, and just ahead of him is Museu. The other one is Taffy. The man who is missing, and it's just happened out of sight of our camera, is Ballerini, and he's punctured. I don't know whether our ground cameras are going to pick him up, but he's just gone off the back with a flat tyre, which is something of a disaster, because Ballerini, the winner last year, a known strong man. If these boys... Oh, a little bit close, that one, Johan. Oh, it's not Johan, it's Taffy. Taffy, who's wrenched his foot out there before to save himself from falling. Now picks up his pedal again, and he's got a little bit of work on his hands, and it looks as though his teammates are just carrying on the time trial. His back wheel just bouncing around over those cobbles as he churns. This is how you don't take the right-hand bend in Paris-Roubaix. His back tyre just caught on the edge of those cobblestones, and he couldn't get his bike back onto the road quick enough. He thought he was going down, but a fine piece of riding by Andrea Taffy. He brings him back up to the other two, Bortolami and Museu. They turn these big gears. This is the pursuit. Yekimov and Schmil. We haven't seen Ballerini, but take my word on it, the man has gone with a puncture. These two have recognised that this Paris-Roubaix could well be being decided early on this year, and they're going to try and catch the Express Mappe, which is moving clearly ahead on this long sector of pavé. Almost 2.5 kilometres of it, and they've chosen to really drill home the rivet. Very narrow road, thankfully dry, but very dusty and a bit painful on the eyes. And a signal there from Bortolami. I don't know if he's punctured or whether he just wants a service car. Our camera hasn't noticed it because he's not looking at him, but he will do in a second, I hope. There he is. So Bortolami, I wonder what he's saying here. They're about 22 kilometres from the finish. It's about now that they're going to have to start thinking about which one's going to win the race. Or will they have a free-for-all and allow an open sprint? I don't think so somehow, because Johan Museo is the nearest to Belgium. He's a Belgian, or the nearest countryman to France. He also knows that he's done a lot of work this year to make sure that other teammates have had their big day. If you remember in Ghent-Wevelgem, he was a long way in the lead there. He got caught, and unselfishly he led out his teammate Tom Steels for victory. We haven't seen Tom Steels today. 20 kilometres to go. Into sector 3, just 3 more sectors of pavé now. Confins en Pervève.
on the Rue de Bouen, 1.8 kilometers. This is a little sector of pavé which is always very bad. And had this been a group of non-teammates, it would be a stretch of pavé where we could expect an attack. Enfin en Pervel, and in fact they want the motorbikes out the way because they can't see. And I think that's a fair comment, but the motorcycles are all being held up. The photographer's trying to get the shot of the race. Because in these conditions, of course, any one of them could flat straight away, and then the cameraman will be very upset if they never got the shot. But what they probably don't realize is they could well cause an accident with the dust completely obscuring the vision of these three riders. Most unpleasant conditions, but then nobody ever said that Paris-Roubaix was a pleasant race to ride. Round another tight corner, taken very cautiously by Big Johan. And the hand is up of Museu. And the others, well, Bortolami, hey, Museo has a flat tyre. Bortolami looked round briefly. Now we'll find out, because the two Italians, are they going to go or are they going to wait? Museo has given them the chance. They're looking at each other. Bortolami has said something to Taffy. The pressure has gone off. We're looking here. They have an advantage of around about 2 minutes, slightly less over Ballerini. Johan Museo has a flat tyre. Again, Taffy, well, it might be just my imagination, but I can feel that Taffy wants to race. But Museo had a good change and he's straight back in the saddle. The photographer has the picture he's waited for ages, and now Museo is going to have to get back up to the two leaders. Tremendous amount of strength still in Johan Museo because he's coming back so rapidly. The other two riders on opposite sides of the pavé are awaiting their man. Well, that's stitched it up. We all know what's going on now. Museo is to win Paris-Roubaix. It's as simple as that. He now is waiting. They are both now waiting. Taffy looks over his shoulder and Bortolami. What a bizarre situation. Two Italians on an Italian team waiting for a Belgium to win the biggest classic of them all. Well, I feel unable to argue the case for any of them because they're in a situation we have never seen before. Taffy wants advice now, unless he's punctured again. Or is it Bortolami? Bortolami. I think he probably wants confirmation of what is going on behind. But this is an amazing discussion, I think, going on once more about who is going to win the race. They have now waited for Museo. They could have left him, although, you know, in fairness, Museo is so strong, he could well have caught up again because that was a great wheel change he got. And we can't deny it. Whoever wins Paris-Roubaix deserves it today from one of these three, that's for sure. And 100 years on, we are being treated to the most extraordinary exhibition of pacemaking by three riders from the same team who seem to have fallen out in the last couple of kilometers because they can't decide who should win now, having ripped the field apart and made this a very personal affair. Bortolami looks across. Taffy goes through. The two Italians carrying the Belgian Museo. This is the long straight road to the right turn into the velodrome. We'll certainly make a left flick and go down the middle of it through the trees there. Here it is. Interesting. And this is what the crowd are seeing at the finishing line. Let's go to Paul Sherwen.
Well, Phil, those three riders now are coming onto the last section of cobblestones that they will face today. But what a magnificent final to the centenary Paris-Roubaix. Three riders from the same team at the head of affairs. I have never seen that in a World Cup race or a race of this standing. Johan Museo, Gianluca Bortolami, Andrea Taffy. In a few moments' time, they're going to come onto the track behind me, and we will very soon know who is going to be the winner of the 100th Paris Roubaix. It will be magnificent. The crowd are going to go crazy here because these riders have done a wonderful race. You know, Johan Museeuw should be the favourite rider when they come round here in a short while. Bortolami has been absolutely magnificent, but the crowd now are waiting for these last few moments for the riders to come in, and you can hear the crowd rising to the occasion. Just behind me now, we've got those leaders, Phil, onto the track there. Bortolami is in first place, Johan Museeuw is in second. Phil, for the final lap, it's over to you.
Paul, thank you very much. And here we are on the velodrome. Look at the crowd. They're bringing round these three riders now. Museeuw looks over his shoulder. Bortolami and Taffy punches the air. He looks very happy now, Andrea Taffy. They're enjoying this moment. They're all waving to the crowd. And in fact, are they going to allow Museeuw to win, or are they going to sprint it? But at the moment, they're allowing Museeuw to encircle the velodrome in the lead. As they come round towards the end of the race, Museeuw looks at them both as if he doesn't trust them completely at 250 metres. They're all waving at the crowd here. Museeuw is in the lead, and they've conceded this race to Johan Museeuw. And Johan Museeuw is going to win his first Paris-Roubaix. Bortolami is behind him, and Andrea Taffy. That looks like the pecking order. The two Italians, two-arm salute. Museeuw points to his team and says to the crowd, they did it for me. Johan Museeuw has won Paris-Roubaix in this most extraordinary exhibition of team riding. The two Italians congratulate one another here, and I think they're just about holding Bortolami upright. And this is the situation as the three riders who wrote themselves into the legends of the 100th year of Paris-Roubaix, as Johan Museeuw and his two Italian teammates, and Bortolami, who has officially placed second, Taffy officially third, all three winners today of Paris-Roubaix in most people's books, I think. And on the podium, three members of the same team, never seen before. I wonder if indeed it will ever be seen again. And Johan Museeuw all smiles and appreciates the work done by his two Italian teammates. Whatever happened out on the road, now totally forgotten, as I join up with Johan Museeuw. Johan, we said at the start, you were saying that if you came to the finish with other members of your team, you would have a discussion and decide what to do. What happened in the end between you and the other two?
It's very normally when you with three riders from the same team, you must make the decision who's win.
Yeah.
But today I'm the leader, so we make the decision that I win, because I work a lot for the team last year and also this year. And today they give me something back, so I'm very happy to win.
But it was an incredible exploit by the team, because you could have had 4 men if Ballerini had not punctured.
Yes, 4. Yes, but I have also 2 times a puncher, so you need a little bit of lucky. And today I have lucky. Last week in the Tour of Flanders, I have not lucky. Today I have lucky, and I win Paris-Roubaix. So that's sport. That's life.
Okay. On to the next section of cobbles. By the way, Zanini was not with Mappe last year, but he is this year, so I guess he's adopted the philosophy, if you can't beat him, you better join him. Right, 3.1 kilometres of cobbles here, as the riders now again scrabble for wheels. Now, this sector here is very, very dusty indeed, and I think we're going to amply be demonstrated this fact, because the cars up front are really stirring up the dust. It's most unpleasant conditions for the riders right now, and this is the sort of place where I would expect Museeuw to really try and hurt the rest of them.
Well, I think that's exactly what he's doing. He's got Stefano Zanini with him there, which is why I think all those Mappe riders moved to the front there, because they knew the section of cobbles now was the ones where the riders were starting to feel a little bit of pain. Just sitting on the back there, that looks to me as if that in fact is Henk Vogels, although they're giving it as Moncassin. It looks like the shape of Vogels to me, who's got up there to that group of 3 riders.
Well, your guess is as good as mine right now, Paul, because we're going to be pretty hard pressed to even see where the race is. Now, just look at this here. here. I mean, nobody can see anything at all. The cars just can't get out of the way of one another, and there are the three leaders. Is it Moncassin or is it Vogels? We'll find out shortly. Sorry about the little bit of movement on the picture. Again, I would think the dust is affecting our signal right now up to the helicopter. There's a fourth man joining. And I think possibly that Moncassin is also getting across now. So we've got four riders here. They're only just ahead. Certainly Zanini is here. He's in the Mapei colours this year. And also the white jersey of the world champion at Museo. So we've got two of them pinned down as we now go far up into the sky with our helicopter, and we can just about see Paris Roubaix. Well, you can see the sort of scenery here on this section of northern France as we head up now towards Belgium. There are the three leaders.
It looks like Zanini, in fact, had a problem there. Obviously a flat tire because he disappeared completely. That was Henk Vogels who got across that leading group, but now Moncassin with the darker hair there, he's just popped onto the back. So the GAN team in a very strong position as we look back at the leader of the US Postal Service team, Yaroslav Ekimov, doing a good ride, as always, in Paris-Roubaix.
And talking of groups, that's the second group we're looking at now. It looks to be reduced to about 25, 30 riders. And remember that the world champion and last year's winner is now up in the lead group. There's a problem down there. It looks like Museo. It is Museo. Museo has punctured from that leading group. Now, the world champion is going to have to fight back because very shortly that chase group is going to come round the corner. And there they are. You could just see them as Museo gets away. The Mavic boys are on hand. And there's the group. They will take a good look at the world champion, and Taffy is in this group, so the Mapei boys are going to say, oh no, we've got to get back into the action now, because Ballerini at number 2 is also here. So they're going to have to gather around the world champion leader and try and get him back across to the front group. And that front group running around about 30 seconds in front. There's Taffy.
Well, Phil, I can't believe that this man had so much bad luck last week in the Tour of Flanders. It may well be that the world champion's jersey once again is going to carry some kind of a curse, because to me this is the winning move at the moment, having Johan Museo up there and Rolf Sorensen, Shamil, the strongest riders in Paris-Roubaix, and for him just to lose it like that. And he was riding so carefully, he wasn't taking any risks. He was riding in the centre of the cobblestones to avoid all those little flints, and he still comes down with a flat tyre. That really was unfortunate.
Well, Museo stopped, and also I notice now that the director of television has dropped the name of Zanini out of the lead group and reduced them to 7. I'm wondering if Zanini has also been told to wait now for Johan Museo. There's the group, 22 seconds separating. It's not a lot at all. You can recover from that, especially as all of the Mapei boys seem now to be back into the chase group. Number 61 here is Max Chandri. And he's sitting on the tail of the 7 front runners. The others now, Wouters, Schmil, Sorensen, Vogels, Moncassin and Joe Plankett. There's the view from the helicopter. There's a couple of helicopters over the race right now, so the riders know exactly where they are. There's nobody else remotely near this group now, and there's some 90 riders still on the course. And this could be it, because this is Museo now. He's got clear, or he's trying to get Moncassin is with him, and Schmiller's tagged on at the back. So these 3 riders now, we knew he would have to do this. He had to turn on the style and the power as he's running out of cobblestones. I think Moncassin had worked that out for himself.
Well, definitely. He knew that this was a tough section of cobbles. Everybody knows these last 3 sections of cobbles intimately. You see, Johan Museo knew that that was where he had to put the hammer down. He's flicked across. There are the 2 leaders just in front there, but Johan Museo pegging them back very carefully. Now, what a remarkable performance by this man. He's been down and out of the race so many times today, but each time he's fought his way back. He wants to win this race today. He wants to win it with the rainbow jersey on his shoulders. He tried so hard last week. He was taken out by a stupid accident when somebody fell onto his back wheel, and now he's pulled it back together single-handedly over this last section of cobbles. 5 leaders, but again, GAN have got 2 men in there, Phil, with Frederic Moncassin and Henk Vogels, but I think Vogels is going to have a very hard time shortly.
But don't forget, Lotto have got 2 men in there as well now, because Schmil's come up to match Wouters. And there's coming the first attack, and it looks as though Moncassin, he hit it at just the moment that Schmil was coming up, so he saw the jump, and Schmil immediately in the slipstream. So too the world champion, Museo, and the rest are going to be in a little bit of trouble now. These 3 are going to try and pull away from the other 2 who have made the pace for so long.
Well, as soon as he saw that they'd got there, he knew they had a gap over the rest of the field behind. He decided to increase the pace, to launch it a little bit. Look at how he waited. He was just waiting for Museo to get up back onto the wheel of the two leaders. He went right down the right-hand gutter. The speed of a sprinter, what a great acceleration. But Sherwen was waiting for that too, because he's a very canny rider. They're all together again now, still 5 riders in the lead. The next section of cobbles they're going to go to is the Pavé de l'Arbre, a very tough section too, around about 1.1 kilometers long, but it's joined onto another section, making it a 3 kilometer section of cobbles. Very tough. They're going to turn right here onto it.
And we're just around about 10 miles from the finish, just 15 kilometers. It looks like Fred's going to have another dig here. I think the motorbike rather spoiled it for him there. He knew this left hand is a bit tricky, and he tried to race into it, but the motorbike came by him at the same time. Anyway, he's going to be persistent and see what he can do. He's again put André Schmil back on the defensive here. He's probably looking through watering eyes right now with his crash hat bouncing just above his eyebrows. If he had one on, that would be.
A lot of these riders won't ride them even on a day like Paris Roubaix, because they want to make sure that they've got all of their faculties about them. They don't want to have a helmet on. They want to try and survive. But just look at the position of Schmil. He's pushing himself right back into the saddle there, trying to get every last little force out of his body just to stay in contention. A great attack by Moncassin there. He opened up the gap on Museo, who slowly brought himself back into the slipstream. But now these riders taking a few risks there. There was a bounce there on the wheel of Museo as he tried to just stay in the slipstream of this very fast sprinter. Look at the way he went round this corner again. He took it from the right-hand side, went right into the gravel there. The motorbike, I did think, slowed him down just a little bit, but Museo and Schmil, they stayed on the cobbles.
Oh, that was a superb tactic by Moncassin. It wasn't really the motorbike's fault. It just happened to do the same thing at the same time. But had the motorbike not been there, you know, it could have been a different tale. He took great risk. He knew that bend. He'd worked it all out, and he wanted, hey, and almost there. I don't know if you saw that. I think he's punctured. I think he's caught his back tyre, and I think this is puncture number 2, because he's out of control, and Johan Museo has gone again. Well, Paul, you've got to feel sorry.
I can't believe it, Phil. That was the back tyre went down there, and what happened, he was trying to flick himself back onto the cobblestones there, and there's a ridge of cobbles just down the side of each section, and I think he must have just caught the wheel and ripped it. There's the chasing group going by him, but Johan Museo, despite a quick change by the neutral Mavic service there, was in the leading group once again, and he went down. This is quite remarkable. You've got to feel sorry for this man, because he's been riding like a king, like a champion of the world today, but Lady Luck is just not with him.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's having bad luck, but he's going to be determined to overcome. Let's have a look what happened there. It's right on the edge. That's where he caught his back tyre, where the cobbles meet the sand. There's always a ridge of about 2 inches, and he was just crossing over, and it ripped his tyre, and down it went. Well, it's bad luck, yes, but this man is full of fight today. He's a man possessed in Paris Roubaix. He's not just the world champion. He won this race last year, and he's not going to give up without a fight. He's made that pretty plain today, Paul. He's now back with the chase group yet again. Moncassin could wait no longer. He's not even going to leave it to the sprint. He is testing André Schmil. Schmil is going to do what Moncassin did just a few moments ago, take a little time over it, but get back to the wheel in front, and he has done just that. We're now going to make the switch into the centre of the road here. Moncassin has the head for the moment, with Schmil right with him, and Schmil freewheeling here, showing no interest now in sharing the pace. This could be fatal, you know, because that group is seconds behind them. And Moncassin has found himself having to lead now. He's got Schmil to take the pace again. They'll make the switch very shortly. That's why they're going wide on the road now. Then they will go under the kilometre to go banner. Then they will be in the stadium. Now Paul Sherwen is down in the track centre, enjoying the atmosphere down there and watching all of the action on that television screen, and he is going to see these two riders, but by how far ahead of the chase group, and I would suggest, looking at this, not very much at all. They are very, very close together now, and Museo is still in with a shout of winning Paris Roubaix. So let's join Paul Sherwen in the track centre.
Well, Phil, the atmosphere down in the track centre has been remarkable over the last 40 minutes or so. Everybody is expecting that Frédéric Moncassin can go away with the victory, but looking up at the monitor here, just opposite from us, it looks as if André Schmil is almost as tired as Frédéric Moncassin. Two very good sprinters. When it comes down to the line, they're going to have to give everything if they want to win. The crowd want the Frenchman to win, but a little bit further behind, in fact, Johan Museo, who's been the unluckiest man so far in this year's World Cup. He crashed in Milan-San Remo. He had a back tyre problem in last week's Tour of Flanders, but today in Paris-Roubaix, once again, he's had a flat tyre, but he's fought his way back. A fraction of a second behind Frédéric Moncassin at the moment. The race is far from over as we wait for the last few moments. And when they come onto the track, Phil, they're all together.
And my goodness me, they are. There are, in fact, 8 riders in the sprint for Paris-Roubaix now. It's all gone wrong for Moncassin and Schmil in the last 200 metres of the road. And that's Moncassin forced to lead into the stadium now. Museo moves up into second place, the world champion in for the kill. And there, sitting right at the back, is Frédéric Gaydon, the surprise member of this breakaway, but at least he is here. 1 lap to go now, and nobody wants to go over Moncassin yet, but right behind, lining up, is Joe Plancourt, Andre Schmil. A lot of boys are going to feel pretty confident as well. Now Museo leans heavily onto Moncassin. As coming up on the top shoulder there goes Andre Schmil. And moving rapidly off the back there. I don't know if you saw him, but look at him coming over the top of the moment. This will be a big surprise. Frédéric Gaydon has gone like a rocket from the back to the front. He's going to win Paris-Roubaix, and that is going to be the big surprise ending. What a finish by Gaydon. Gaydon came from the back, and this is the wife of Frédéric Moncassin, and I don't blame her. She can't believe it has all gone wrong in sight of the velodrome for her husband, Frédéric Moncassin.
Hank, this is your first experience with Paris-Roubaix, and a very good experience it was too.
It's an incredible race. You can't understand how it feels to ride in that velodrome in the first 10 or whatever it was. And I learned a lot this year. I had a lot of bad luck. I pulled my foot out the pedal like 4 times in one piece of cobbles, and that's exactly where the brake went. And I would have been there, I tell you that right now. But I'm going to get some luck from somewhere.
The luck will come, but today it was a great day for Gann. It just didn't work out for Frédéric Moncassin, who was caught just within sight of the stadium.
Yeah, I think we had the best. I honestly think we had the best team. Gann was the strongest team there. We were with everything all day. First move, second move, third move, fourth move, out the bunch move. It was just no luck. I mean, we were the strongest there today. I mean, you had other strong teams there, but Gann rode superbly, and I'm really happy with how I went too.
But riding onto this stadium for the first time in the race, Paris-Roubaix, did it live up to expectations?
Oh, it was just incredible. I had shivers down my spine, really.
So now you've got your first experience. You're going to come back next year a lot stronger with a little bit more talent?
Yes, I think every year you ride professionally, you get stronger and stronger. This is my 3rd year. This is my first year where I haven't had any troubles, and if I can ride like this next year with experience, and Stuart O'Grady with me, and Fred Moncassin with me, we can do it.
This is the 96th year of the running of the great classic Paris-Roubaix, and they call it the Easter race. Well, this year, Paul, it's being held on Easter Sunday. We've had 2 weeks of really bad weather here in Europe. These cobbles in places are absolutely atrocious. But Paul, you rode your best race when the weather was so bad.
I did. It was a crazy day. There was a day that Henny Kuiper won. I fell off 9 times at the end of the day. I ended up finishing 15th, and I was quite happy with that.
I would have been extremely happy with such a performance. You know, there certainly are riders who are made for Paris-Roubaix. Riders like Jan Ullrich, the winner of the Tour de France last year, he wouldn't come to a race like this, but there are those who relish these conditions, right?
There certainly are. Some riders actually dream about having a wet Paris-Roubaix, and the last time that happened was 1994 when, in fact, Andre Schmil won, and that was an incredible day.
And of course, when Schmil won, it was Johan Museo who had all the bad luck.
He certainly did. Nobody could have expected that. He was trying a new prototype machine. It had double suspension. He had problems with his pedals, and he'd raced almost up to the back wheel of Andre Schmil, and he couldn't make it, and Schmil went away with the day.
Well, Schmil is among the favourites for the big race here. So too is Johan Museo after his great win in the Tour of Flanders. And watch out too for Museo's teammate Franco Ballerini. Well, guess what we're doing? We're doing what every club cyclist loves to do the day before the race, and that's ride the 50 kilometres or so on the cobbles and get a real feel for this event. This quiet little lane here will be jam-packed with thousands of spectators tomorrow, and I suppose 2 cars a day can down this road in normal conditions. Paul, Museo is the big favourite, right?
Museo is the #1 favourite after winning Tour of Flanders last week. Andre Schmeel is in great form, but I think half a dozen of the Mapei riders could walk away with the win too.
Absolutely. Well, the overall race is more than 260 kilometres. Where we are right now is approximately 50 kilometres from the finish. A nice place to attack. And there's the field. It's got a little bit bigger, in fact, so there's obviously been a bit of regrouping from the back, and as far as we are aware, all of the stars are still in this front group.
There you can see Johan Museo and the leader of the World Cup, Stefano Zanini, very comfortable in the first 3 positions there. They'll be happy with that. And at the back, if you're so far back at the moment, all you can hope is to try and get through the forest without any problems at all, because certainly this is a very tricky situation to be in. But at least this group a lot smaller now, and they've got a bit of confidence. They've made the first selection of Paris Roubaix today, and they've still got men like Museo, Ballerini, and the strong riders all around. Schmil is in here as well. And so I've also caught sight of Stuart O'Grady, and up the road just in front of this group is Moncassin and Henk Vogels. Somebody's gone down already, Phil, and this is going to be the start of the massacre of the Arenberg Forest, because there are riders all over the place there. Somebody went down. I just saw the back wheel flip over. It's as if he went head over heels, and then all of a sudden nobody else then can actually ride their bikes, and they're going to have to try and get themselves going. But going down there, it looks like O'Grady's very comfortably away without any problems.
Well, the trouble is, once somebody touches the brakes and loses a wheel, then of course there's a ricochet effect, and that bunch now has been totally disjointed there as the riders at the front are trying to break this field up here. They're starting to push on the advances. The Gamboys are going well, but look further down there, because riders are zooming off into the crowd, and this is the problem. The riders wanted these security fences put up here because of the way the crowd flocked to reach to see them in the forest, and now it's rather working against them, I feel, because they can't get onto stretches of the road which they might have chosen otherwise. Look at this, Paul. Look, they're actually going to the crowd here now round the back. They're not going to know which way to look here. There's Stefan Barth also in trouble.
Certainly has been chaotic. There's Wilfred Peters in the white jersey for riding for Mapei there, but it looks as if Johan Museo and Stefano Zanini have disappeared. I think they too have gone down in the crashes.
So it looks like the World Cup leader and the former World Cup holder, Museo, both in trouble here in the forest and losing their front positions.
There's Zanini on the right-hand side. They're trying to get going, so he went down, but he's okay and up and riding again. A lot of pressure on the front coming from Fred Moncassin and Henk Vogels. If you get a chance, Henk Vogels is wearing a very bright orange jersey, so a bright orange helmet, I should say, and you get a chance to see him there riding very well.
Well, those two are clear of this field now, as they've so far avoided the trouble. But if you just look at the face of these riders, it's a massive concentration, and it's literally every man for himself. There's Stuart O'Grady in the bottom of our picture as he passes through.
Eddie Seigneur going through there, the champion of France, riding for Gann now, and you can see O'Grady coming through too. Once you get to the latter part of this forest of Arenberg, 2.4 kilometres long, certainly you are able to pick up a little bit of speed. The 4th place rider there in the blue jersey is George Hincapie, so he's got through the forest riding very well. Just behind him, Andrea Taffy, who finished 3rd in this race just a few years ago.
And Taffy's got himself a little bit of form, an early leader of the Tour of Langkawi, now coming and tasting hell at first sight here as we're now deep into the forest. The field completely split up. That rider who's gone onto the grass there is going to find going a little bit tough now. One or two have seen this gap in the crowd here and have been shooting off behind the crowd, and frankly I don't know where they're going, because the crowd is very, very dense further up. I'm not sure they can rejoin.
In fact, there's a whole bunch of riders there behind the people, Phil. In fact, the race is split into 2. It's one section racing on the cobblestones and the other half riding down behind the crowds.
Well, there's Stefan Barth, easily to pick out, the blue top to his French national jersey. He's picked himself back up by one or two riders. I can see a few Dutch riders have made the move. They've gone round the back door. And just watch the amazement of the crowd here now. They're not sure which way to look here, behind them or across of the main road, because the riders are on both sides. We'll get some idea what will happen to these riders as we move towards the exit to the forest. but I just hope they've got a way back onto the course.
Certainly could be a little bit complicated when they get to the end there. It's Gianluca Bortolami riding for Festina coming through. And you can see that the Forest of Arenberg today certainly has been a deciding section of cobblestones.
Now our cameraman, a little bit of stunt riding here, has got his camera just above the cobbles and zoom right in on the legs of Rockia. But you get some idea of how fast they are going over these cobbles. At this sort of speed, they look rather smooth, don't they? But in fact, there's huge holes appear every now and again, and it really does give the body a jarring.
Certainly does. Confirmation that 4 riders have come into that chasing group behind, which is it was 13 riders, so now it's 17. And in fact, there are 3 Mapei riders in there, not riders I think they would have wanted at the start of the race this morning. Andrea Taffi is there with Bart Lazen and Wilfred Peters, so not the big names like Franco Ballerini we were talking about this morning, Johan Museo, who's disappeared from the event. Ballerini, in fact, also suffered a puncture going through the Arenberg forest, and he's a little way behind the race at the moment. Ballerini got through there with no problems at all. With him, 2 riders from Gann. In second position there is Backstead.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Backstead's being something. Look at this now. I mean, you're going to be up to your axles in it on that right-hander.
Unbelievable. In there, Fred Moncassin, and just getting onto the back as well, Wilfred Peters. But this section of cobblestone has split that group completely. There were 20 riders going into it, and now there's 1s and 2s all over the place.
And Sorensen is looking a bit shaky now. He's lost his nerve a little bit when he came around that corner. 1 or 2 riders still trying to bridge from the chase group. But this is completely split up here now, and I think the man causing all of the trouble is Ballerini at the front, and he's just got Backstead and Moncassin now. That's all that's left.
Well, Moncassin's going to be pretty happy with that, because he's got a great sprint. If this can be the form of the breakaway counter-attack going up to the leaders, because we still have 3 men up the road at the moment, 2 leaders being chased by Tom Steels, and in fact the pressure that Ballerini's putting on, it doesn't look as if he's going to take any prisoners.
God, he's riding with such confidence right now, Franco Ballerini. Remember, he had to fight back from what was a seemingly hopeless position today, and now he's going so quickly, he is riding Moncassin off the wheel.
Well, that's strange to see, because Moncassin is such a great rider on the cobblestones, and he was right on the wheel of Backstead, but the acceleration of Franco Ballerini was a thing a bit too much for Fred Moncassin. He's pushed him off the back of the wheel, and that is going to be very difficult for him to pull himself back up there.
Well, it looks as though we might just about be reaching the end of zone 12 here, and these guys won't be too sorry about that as they slowly regroup.
Taffy at the front here, still trying to cause a little bit of damage in that group behind, but shadowing him, Frederic Moncassin, and right behind there, moving up, is Wilfred Peters.
This looks like crunch time for this group here, because in fact those 3 have got themselves a gap. Van Bon and Sorensen. Sorensen at the front at the moment, Van Bon at the back of these 3. Backstead surely is just about on his limits now. Moncassin has tried to get in touch with the 2 Mapei boys, but there could be big trouble for Fred here, because he's got both of them. In fact, as I speak, this looks like an attack from Wilfred Peters going.
Peters, in fact, just trying to stay in contact there with the pressure on the front here by Andrea Taffi. Moncassin taking a lot of risks there, going right through the gutter, flicking across now to the wheel of Wilfred Peters. Peters has decided that he's going to take up the pressure and try and crack Frederic Moncassin. A little bit of touch of shoulders there. There's no love lost between these boys. They've been sitting on for the last 30 or 40 kilometres, but that is their right. Their man Franco Ballerini's leading the race.
It was a gamble of which I don't think he had any choice at all. He was so strong when he got there, he had to push it home, and he's done it now brilliantly. Coming round the stadium and doesn't have to worry about a sprint. He looks across to see if anybody else is entering the track, but they're a lap and a half behind anyway if they are. Franco Ballerini gets what I rate as the best win of his career today in Paris Roubaix. He's going to remember this one because his winning margin was the biggest since Eddy Merckx won this event ahead of Roger de Vlamingh back in 1970. So the Italian really did put an image on the Paris-Roubaix this year, and I hope you've enjoyed this coverage of what has been a real classic in the making. He then had time to stop and see his teammates race home, Andrea Taffi getting second and Wilfred Peters taking the 3rd place. And Mapei 1-2-3 will leave you now with some images of one of the great classics that we all had the pleasure to witness. For Paul Sherwen, I'm Phil Liggett saying goodbye.